What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about additional information that we just got from the data download right here, showing off the brand new Whitebeard as well as Rayleigh and Gaban. I have already uploaded a video discussing their abilities because we did get a tweet about it, so you can go ahead and check out that video. We're not going to be talking about their abilities, like their captain and stuff. If you want that, go check out my previous video as I discussed it and gave my thoughts and opinions there. But there is something else that we need to talk about, is that they do have Grand Party ability, so we can briefly go over that, as well as the new rare recruits of the batch. Alongside this, we actually have a brand new super evolution coming to the game, Monkey D. Luffy, and this is the Super Sugo Fest exclusive quick final tap Luffy, Red Rock Luffy. When you guys see his artwork, you guys are gonna go crazy. It looks phenomenal. So we'll go through that in this video today as well. So, in terms of when all of this stuff is going live, we have the Sugo going live January 27th, 1900 PST. Part 2 is going to be the 29th, Part 3, the 31st. So that's pretty typical stuff, and you can see that it is not a discount on the first multi, so it is going to be a pretty typical end of month banner. Nothing too crazy here. It is not a Super Sugo Fest, so no Super Sugos are going to be pullable here. I don't really know what to expect. What I do hope, though, is I hope that the Film Red Legends are going to be more available. Characters like Beckman and Lucky Roo, Usopp and Yasop, as well as Film Red Chopper, they're not available on a lot of banners. Of course, they just were on the Super Sugo Fest, but it would be nice if they were here as well. Now, of course, as I said, I want to go through the information in regards to the Grand Party abilities and the new rare recruits. So first of all, we have Whitebeard, and in the video that I was talking about previously, I was expecting the CT of the character to be incorrect, but it is not incorrect. The Whitebeard special is on a 20 CT cooldown. For what it does is very strong, especially after the first 40 seconds when you get into the second half of the match. 3 times damage to all targets is pretty great. So I do think this Whitebeard will actually see play in Rumble. But in terms of the Grand Party abilities, his leader skill is focusing on Dex, giving attack, HP, and a defense increase. But he also provides buffs to Striker and Powerhouse, HP, crit, and attack. But to be honest, like Dex, while they are very, very good in Rumble, Striker and Powerhouse not so much. Like Powerhouse definitely have a lot more going for them. Striker are just terrible in Rumble, though. They need more support. I really wish they would stop giving us Striker boosting leader skills in Grand Party, because they're just not good enough. So we really need to see a little bit more buffs in the future. Now, the actual burst ability, in order to launch it, you need 9 power attacks. But let me just check something real quick. Does he actually do a power attack? What? Okay. He doesn't even do a power attack. Okay, but you need to do 9 power attacks, 3 teammates with high HP for defense up, and a 3 times counter. That's pretty strong. And when there's 50 seconds or less, target all enemies for level 7 attack down, level 7 speed. Okay, you don't need to be a genius to figure out that this is a terrible set of GP abilities. I don't know who's figuring out these abilities, but they're just not good enough, in my personal opinion. So that's the breakdown of Whitebeard. Really disappointing in GP. Let's go have a look at Rayleigh and Gaban. So they do have the same CT as Twitter as well, 31 CT, and their GP stats, interestingly, are going to be boosting Free Spirit, Speed 6, CT level up level 2, which is very good, and defense increase, and then Dex and Sai receive HP up, guard up, and attack up. So just across the board, this is a much more succinct GP leader skill with teams you can actually build good stuff out of. That's actually pretty decent. Now, the GP burst, you need to launch a Rumble special 5 times, which is a lot more accessible than doing 9 power attacks. And the effect will target your team for level 7 attack and level 7 speed, and then if there are 5 teammates or less when you launch this ability, then all enemies get defense down level 6. This is actually very good. I can definitely see this being used, especially if people are opting to run teams that have, lower amounts of characters on their crew. This is not a bad ability, despite the fact that it doesn't do damage, so long as the characters that you actually are using are able to do good damage, as long as you launch it right before you're about to launch a special, or right before your opponent is about to launch a special. This is actually okay. I can definitely see this being used in Grand Party, but unfortunately, Whitebeard gets the short end of the stick once again. I do think Rayleigh and Gaban are definitely the target character for this Sugo Fest. But we have 2 new rare recruits to talk about. Let's talk about Shanks first. So, Shanks is a Psi free spirit slasher. Captain ability doesn't matter too much, but interestingly, removes 1 turn of despair as a captain for an old, I say an old rare recruit, but for a rare recruit nonetheless, to have a despair reduction is kind of cool. And the special will target your top row characters for -1 cooldown. Lovely. Deals 60 times his attack in typeless damage to 1 target, reducing 5 turns of despair, reducing 5 turns of rainbow shield damage reduction, doubles damage dealt to defense down enemies by 3 turns, or for 3 turns, and if your crew lands 3 perfect strikes during this turn, sets their defense to 0 in the following turn. So when you launch it, you actually don't get the defense down straight away, but you get it in the following turn. So there's obviously lots of issues with this special, as the enemy can just remove your beneficial effects, and that's that. So I don't know how I feel about this. The utility is obviously very good, but the -1 cooldown only to the captains, not good enough. Definitely should have been for the whole crew. He does resist special reverse by 2 turns, which is good. I don't understand it. There should have just been -1 to the whole crew. Would have made the character much more usable. But this character does have a really good support, only attaching to Buggy. But if they use a damage dealing special, then it changes the character slot into matching and reduces enemies' resilience and damage threshold by 1 turn. This is very good. Buggy doesn't have a lot of good support, so adding onto that is obviously very good. So shout out to Shanks for the support, looking pretty spicy. And of course, the other rare recruit is going to be none other than Buggy himself. Now, Buggy is also a Psi free spirit slasher, and his captain ability, similar to Shanks, is also going to have a utility effect, removing 1 turn of burn. But again, it's not going to be used as a captain. The special ability, though, will do 60 times his attack and typeless damage to a single target, reducing defense by 80% for 1 turn, so of course it makes sense to use this and Shanks in the same turn, so you can get the defense down to actually activate. And then of course in the following turn after that, then you can get the conditional boost with Shanks by himself. He also changes the crew's empty block bomb G and recovery and unfavorable slots into matching. It's pretty good orb manipulation there. And then reducing burn duration by 5 turns, reducing threshold and resilience by 4 turns. Kind of annoying that it's 4 turn removal. Sets the chain multiplier boundary 2.0 to 10.0 for 3 turns and makes it easier to land perfects for 3 turns. This is a much better special. The utility is a little odd because it is 4 turn removal for 2 of the buffs, 5 turn removal for 1 of the buffs. Orb change is good. Damage dealing special, obviously good. Defense reduction is okay, but you have to use other specials to really make it work. Chain boundary obviously is very good. I think Buggy's definitely going to see more play than Shanks, but still, he's not like a great rare recruit. It's like just okay. In terms of crewmate abilities, he does remove 3 turns of blindness, which is pretty decent. Both Shanks and Buggy have an interesting effect to make certain slots matching. So Buggy does strength and Shanks does quick, which is pretty cool. And they, well, he has hunger. Did Shanks have hunger? I actually didn't check. No, so Shanks doesn't have hunger, but Buggy does. That's interesting. And of course, another very good support, only attaching to Shanks. If you use a damage dealing special, removes 2 turns of resilience and half enemies' defense for 1 turn. So of course you can attach this to any good Shanks character. Most Shankses will do damage, so that's actually a pretty decent support. Good, because Shanks just needs more supports. He doesn't really have that many, so it's decent, but it only really removes resilience. The halving of defense is kind of bad. So realistically, it just removes 2 turns of resilience, which is nothing too crazy to write home about. So overall, the rare recruits just seem fine. They're definitely going to be built for the content at hand. I don't see them being used too much outside of the next month of events, in my personal opinion. And now we get to that time, guys. We can talk about the new super evolution coming to the game, Monkey D. Luffy. So before we actually get into it, let's give a brief rundown to what the original Luffy does, so that we can compare and contrast with his super evolution. So Luffy is a quick free spirit fighter super type, captain ability, 5 times boost to his classes and colors, 1.3 health. He boosts the chances of landing recovery slots, makes them beneficial, and you can actually obtain recovery slots by hitting it perfect, so you can always heal with them, which is both a good and a bad thing because of the introduction of that debuff that actually does damage to you when you consume recovery slots. It's not very common, but when it's there, this is not going to be a good unit to use for that. His super type effect, you needed just one of the Straw Hats, including Jinbei himself, so pretty easily accessible super type, and it would just give you -1 cooldown to his classes and colors and give you a 1.0 chain boost. That's it. Then the special itself would do mass damage to all enemies. Quick free spirit and fighters get 2.75 times attack, and then also will boost his own base attack depending on how many recovery slots that you consumed before the special. So if you consumed 10 recovery slots before launching the special, it gave him plus 1000 base attack, basically plus 100 per recovery slot that you had consumed up until that point. So it doesn't actually do a whole lot, it's just about doing as much damage as possible. On release was very good, but got outdated very quickly because of course it is a Luffy character and there's a lot of good Luffys that will continuously release in the game's life cycle. So this character got left in the dust relatively quickly. So that's pretty much it. He has a base attack boosting support, which is kind of cool, or stat boosting support. And then of course he has his rumble stuff, which I mean, we'll kind of gloss over it, but he gives a health boost and then he gives himself further HP. When someone dies on your team, he gives himself attack. And of course, after 30 seconds have passed, all your quick units get a speed buff, and then the special ability, which at a relatively low CT, gives himself an attack buff, and then he targets large range 2 times attack, and then targets 2 quick allies for a 70% chance of haste. On release was pretty good, it was not too bad, but with the introduction of his super evolution, you guys are going to see how amazing this artwork is. It looks so good. And of course, this is none other than Red Rock Luffy. As soon as Luffy reached the rooftop, slamming Kaido down with that red rock, it looks magnificent. Probably one of my favorite looking artworks and ink effects in the game. It looks ridiculous. This is a character we wanted to see as like one of the anniversary characters, but then we didn't actually get that. We got the Super Tandem artwork instead. Nonetheless, we finally have Red Rock, and he looks really cool. So, Luffy now is going to be still a super type quick free spirit fighter. Nothing has changed there. The captain ability will now boost quick free spirit fighter by 5.25 times, but it will give them a 5.5 times attack boost if they have a non-type slot. That's very interesting. Haven't seen too many captains that do that. Essentially, if it's like a recovery, a tandem, it literally could be like a bomb slot, for example, right? Even that would work. Anything that's not a color slot will give you the 5.5, which is kind of cool, right? So Wano slots count, you know, recovery, tandem, of course. So it's going to be good. It's going to be pretty easily accessible to do that. He also will give you a 1.3 times HP boost, and boost the crew's chances of landing on both recovery and tandem slots, makes recovery and tandem beneficial to the crew, and allows you to tap with perfects to consume those recovery slots. So they didn't really update a whole lot in the captain here, but they've given him bigger numbers, and they also made it so that, you know, recovery and tandem are beneficial, and you'll encounter both recovery and tandem more often, which is pretty cool. I do like that, because sometimes you don't want recovery slots. Sometimes you really want to land those tandem slots instead, and it's cool that he has the ability to do that. It would have been interesting, actually, if they added an additional effect to give him overhealing in his captain. I think they probably should have done that, because he likes to consume those recovery slots. It would kind of mitigate some of the issues, I think. But that's still pretty good. Very bare bones captain. Then the super type, of course. If you use him as a captain, you get access to the super type. Now, they have updated this, where now Law, Kid, Yamato, and Momonosuke are all characters that can activate his super type. So I love that change. Definitely makes him a lot more usable in content. And then the super type effect is also updated. He still gives you -1 cooldown. He will then go ahead and change all of your type slots into recovery. So he allows you to get rid of those color slots. And of course, when you don't have a colored slot, you will get the mass captain ability bonus of 5.5. And now the chain multiplier boost you get from his super type is 1.5 instead of 1.0. Now, of course, you have characters like the new Legend Nami that have just come out that provide you much more significant chain multiplier buffs. But as a super type effect, it's pretty strong. And then quick characters will become super quick characters instead. The special ability as well is another component that has been buffed pretty significantly. So let's start off with 300 times his attack and typeless damage to all enemies, boosting quick, free spirit, and fighter characters' attack by 3 times for 1 turn, so slightly bigger buff there. He also will boost the top row character's base attack for 1 turn based on the number of recovery and tandem slots that you have consumed before launching the special. So up to 2,000 base attack for using 12 recovery or tandem slots. So that's a pretty big buff. So what this means is that for every recovery or tandem slot that you consume, you're getting roughly 160 to 170 base attack added to his special every time you do that. So that's pretty good, and by the time you reach the final stage, you probably would have consumed a decent amount of these slots, so you will make sure that your captains will get a pretty sizable base attack buff. He then further says that if you already have an attack buff when you launch the special, he boosts quick free spirit and fighter characters slot effects by 2.75 for 1 turn. And then, furthermore, if 16 or more recovery or tandem slots are used in normal attacks before you launch the special, reduces his own special charge time by 12 turns. That's pretty incredible. So with Limit Break expansion, he does go down to a 12-turn cooldown, which means that you could use his special after you've consumed all those slots. You get the special back immediately, and you can use it again in the following stage. So if you're running like double Luffy, for example, on like a mini boss, you could pop both Luffys, get them both back, and then get it again like for the stage after that. Like, there are scenarios where this could be legitimately crazy, but I do think in a lot of scenarios you're not using him too often as a captain. But of course, I definitely want to show him off in a video, of course, with his new super evolution. I want to see what his special animation is. I want to see what the final tap animation is. I really cannot wait, because we need to talk about his final tap too. But across the board, just straight up just numbers buffs. There hasn't been a lot of mechanical changes to the way that he works. It's more of just upping his numbers to make him more viable, realistically. Now, we have his final tap. Now, his final tap activates as soon as you reach the final stage, and very similarly, just gives himself a Wano slot when you attack, and it does go through block slots, which is good, and also boosts his base attack by 2,500. He is going to be hitting ridiculously hard. I mean, he's already going to have a high base attack, especially when you launch the special, giving the captain, you know, up to 2,000 base attack, and then additional 2,500 base attack here. This could stack quite hard. Like, he's gonna have like what, 6,000, 7,000, maybe even more base attack. And if he's boosted in an event, like, it only goes up from there. And you can have support Sabo on him to give him additional base attack that can also stack. Like, dude, we might have a character that can legitimately get to like 10,000 base attack. It's going to get to certain scenarios like that if he's boosted in event periods. Well, he's probably going to be boosted in the upcoming treasure map in the month of February, so we'll be able to see some pretty crazy stats during that event. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Now, of course, his Rumble stuff did get slightly updated, so Quick will get level 6 health. He gives himself a further level 6 HP. When a teammate is defeated, he still gives himself level 5 attack, and then once again, after the first 30 seconds, Quick teammates level 7 speed. So not really too much updated here. 26 CT will target your Quick allies for level 8 attack. Targets enemies in a large range for 2.6 times damage. 3 Quick teammates, 80% chance of haste. So the haste has been buffed, basically. The attack buff from the special is also updated. Now, it does 2.6. I'm pretty sure the base version also did 2.6. Oh, it's 2 times. Okay, so the damage is just upgraded in almost every way. Okay, so this is good. It's actually pretty good. Nothing really too much has actually changed here. He completely evades special bind, strength damage reduction, and then of course he does still have his grand party stuff, which did get slight increases, but it's nothing too crazy to write home about. 7 enemies are defeated in order to launch it, so it's pretty hard to launch, but it does a level 7 attack buff. All enemies lead a 4.5 damage, and then 3 teammates with high attack for 100% chance of haste. It's pretty interesting, but in order to launch it, you have to kill 7 characters, which is pretty difficult. So I don't think this character is going to see too much play, but I will say that the Rumble ability, or the Grand Party ability, is good because it buffs Quick, Strength, and Free Spirit, which are all somewhat usable in Rumble. So I do think that he probably will see some play as a Grand Party leader, despite the fact that the GP burst may be difficult to launch at times, but if you do get it, it's going to be doing pretty crazy damage. So with all that being said, that is going to wrap us up here, talking about the new super evolution for Monkey D. Luffy. I am so excited for this character to come out. We do not know how to super evolve him yet. Like, obviously you need these skulls in order to do it, but we don't know how we receive these skulls yet. Maybe it's going to be the same kind of thing where we do a certain amount of events throughout the month to acquire these skulls, so we probably won't be able to super evolve him until the end of February, which is when the global anniversary does come out. Maybe that'll have some kind of tie-in with it, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.